The United Kingdom's Ministry of Defense latest intelligence update on Ukraine, November 5, 2023. As winter approaches, eyewitness accounts from deployed Russian troops suggest battling the cold remains a major issue. On November 1st, Russian soldiers at a Moscow military conference described being wet from head to toe for weeks at the front lines. One soldier said they couldn't even boil tea for risk of alerting Ukrainian forces. Troops reported living and eating monotonous food in pervasive mud. Maintaining decent conditions in defensive positions is challenging for any army. Evidence suggests a very poor level of enforcement of basic field administration among Russian forces. This is likely due to a lack of motivated junior commanders and variable logistical support. Ukraine's Armed Forces General Staff Update. Day 620 of Russia's attempted invasion of Ukraine continues. Russia conducted 44 combat engagements, 2 missile strikes, 34 airstrikes, and 36 multiple launch rocket system attacks. Russia also launched a Kh-59 cruise missile and Kh-31P guided missile, with air defense shooting down the Kh-59. The situation remains active in eastern and southern Ukraine. Russia shelled numerous settlements along various axes fronts including Sumy, Kharkiv, Luhansk, Donetsk, Zaporizhia, Kherson, and Mykolaiv oblasts. Russia conducted unsuccessful ground assaults in multiple areas which were repelled by Ukrainian forces. Russia launched airstrikes across Donetsk, Luhansk, Kherson, and Zaporizhia oblasts. Ukrainian forces continue offensive operations in the south towards Kherson and in the east near Bakhmut, inflicting losses on Russian forces. Ukraine conducted 10 airstrikes and missile artillery strikes against Russian assets. Ukraine also shot down 4 Russian uncrewed aerial vehicles. The Institute for the Study of War Russian Offensive Campaign Assessment. Ukrainian forces conducted a successful strike on November 4th against a Russian shipyard in occupied Crimea, likely damaging a naval vessel. The strike targeted the Zaliv shipyard in Kerch and appears to have damaged a Project 22,800 Karakurt-class missile corvette under construction there. Russia claims it intercepted 13 out of 15 Ukrainian missiles, while Ukraine says its cruise missiles damaged the Russian Navy's Askold missile carrier corvette. The Zaliv shipyard is the largest in Eastern Europe and a key repair facility for the Russian Black Sea Fleet in Crimea. While the strike likely did not cause long-term disruption to the shipyard's operations, it is part of Ukraine's broader campaign since June to degrade Russian military capabilities in occupied Crimea. Ukraine's strikes against Russian military infrastructure in Crimea aim to reduce its ability to use the peninsula as a staging and logistics hub for Russian operations in southern Ukraine. The Institute for the Study of War key takeaways today. Ukrainian President Zelensky reiterated that the war is not at a stalemate, pushing back on recent Western assessments. Ukrainian forces made advances west of Zaporizhia and on the southern bank of Kherson Oblast on November 5th. Chechen leader Ramzan Kadyrov appointed his 15-year-old son Adam to a prominent security position, though Adam's exact role is unclear. Courts in Dagestan charged participants in recent anti-Semitic riots with minor offenses, issuing limited punishments. Russia continued offensive operations along the Kupiansk-Svatov-Kreminna line and near Bakhmut, Avdiivka, Donetsk City, and Zaporizhia Oblast. A Russian military blogger called for increased propaganda against Ukrainian prisoners of war to boost Russian military recruitment. Kremlin-appointed official Maria Lvova-Belova continues promoting the illegal deportation of Ukrainian children to Russia. Ukraine Matters Update. Zaluzhnya's recent comments very motivational, and his outlined plan for improving Ukraine's military capabilities as a path forward. Ukrainian forces potentially crossing the Dnipro River, but operational security prevents divulging details. Ukraine has established control around Khinky and is assaulting Kazatsalivka, slowly turning southern bank areas into gray zones. This could be a staging area for future advances. Ukraine struck Russian Navy ships in dock at Kerch, likely heavily damaging or destroying the new missile carrier Admiral Makarov. This shows Ukraine now likely has missiles that can reach 300 kilometers, putting all of Crimea in range including the Crimean Bridge. Ukraine preserved a lot of equipment during the summer offensive, so they still have reserves for actions when needed. Around Bakhmut, Russia gained little new ground despite pushes. Ukraine has fortified positions like the chemical plant that will require vastly more Russian forces to overcome. Weather will turn to mud in 6 days, likely slowing any major offensives on both sides. Russia tried and failed an attack toward Vuhledar, with columns demolished. This is the new baseline of failed Russian offensives. The situation will get harder for attackers on both sides as defenders dig in for winter. Any further gains will likely be smaller assaults. Jake Bro update. Ukraine damaged a Russian cruiser docked in Crimea using Storm Shadow cruise missiles. This shows Ukraine's missiles can penetrate Russian air defenses near the Kerch Strait bridge. Ukraine may be planning to strike the bridge itself soon. Fighting continues around Avdiivka, with Russia trying to encircle and cut off Ukrainian forces in the city. Russia sees capturing the nearby coke plant as key to forcing Ukraine to retreat. President Zelensky says Ukraine's counteroffensive has not yet progressed because Russia controls the skies. He says getting F-16s is key for future offensives to succeed. Some Western officials have broached peace talks with Ukraine, but history shows Russia uses ceasefires to rebuild strength before attacking again. Zelensky's peace plan is for Russia to withdraw completely. Russian soldiers are not allowed to rotate out of Ukraine, leading to pleas from wives and mothers back home. Morale seems low after a year of fighting.